upgraded to a flagrant 2.
The defensive foul on DeJonai Carrington has been upgraded to a flagrant foul, penalty 2. Since there's wind-up, impact, and follow-through, high potential for injury, players in a vulnerable position. Since the basket was successful, Sophie Cunningham will receive 2 free throws to make 1.
There's wind-up, there's follow-through, there's potential for injury, the player's in a vulnerable position, and so DeJonai Carrington, who had been off to an incredible start, is now ejected from the game.
This was the moment that sent the entire WNBA into chaos. What happened between the Indiana Fever and Chicago Sky wasn't just another physical basketball play. It became a controversy that exploded far beyond the court. The tension was already intense in the opening quarter. Indiana was pushing the pace, and Sophie Cunningham was attacking the basket on a fast break. Cunningham has built a reputation as one of the Fever's toughest players, especially when it comes to standing up for teammates like Caitlin Clark. But trailing the play was Chicago's DeJonai Carrington. As Cunningham went airborne for the layup, Carrington came from behind and made heavy contact to Cunningham's head and neck area, sending her crashing violently to the hardwood. Somehow, Cunningham still managed to finish the layup. And then everything erupted. Cunningham immediately got back to her feet, visibly furious, and confronted Carrington. She pushed her opponent as teammates and officials rushed in to prevent the situation from turning into an all-out brawl. The officials went to the replay monitor, and after reviewing the play, they determined the contact was severe enough to warrant a flagrant 2. Carrington was ejected, and the arena was left stunned. But here's where this story gets even bigger. The ejection wasn't the end of the controversy. It was only the beginning. Questions about player safety, physicality, accountability, and what should happen next suddenly became the center of the WNBA conversation. And with the league now facing massive scrutiny, the question became simple. Was this just an aggressive basketball play? Or had a line been crossed that demanded serious consequences?
It was just beginning.
Hey, DeJonai Carrington went to the locker room and tweeted,
Maybe upgraded, I think, to a flagrant.
white privileged. How in the hell is this white privilege when you assaulted a player? Sophie didn't touch you. How is this a race issue? Make it make sense. Because I am definitely confused here, guys. I mean, I am hella confused. How is this a race issue, bro? And then not only that, Sophie Cunningham speaks on the matter. So immediately after the game, y'all know the reporters wasted no time catching up with the Sophster. And a lot of stuff did happen, and I did forget about
Just minutes after being escorted from the court, the controversy exploded beyond the basketball floor. Carrington took to social media and posted the words, "white privilege," while tagging the Indiana Fever organization. Suddenly, what had started as a physical play was turning into a full-scale public confrontation. Then Sophie Cunningham had her chance to respond. During the post-game interview, Cunningham made it clear that she believed the foul was intentional. She said the contact was completely unnecessary and pointed out that she had barely interacted with Carrington before the incident. Cunningham suggested there may have been underlying frustration and made it clear she wasn't going to simply accept being hit like that and move on. But then came the twist nobody expected. Instead of completely condemning the play, Fever head coach Stephanie White offered a much more measured assessment. White acknowledged that the foul was hard and agreed that the officials made the correct decision by calling it a flagrant 2. However, she also said she did not believe Carrington intentionally targeted Cunningham's neck. That statement immediately created another wave of debate. For some fans, White's comments represented a coach trying to separate emotion from judgment. For others, It felt like the Fever's own leadership was failing to fully defend one of its toughest players after a frightening collision. And that raised the biggest question of all: was Stephanie White simply trying to keep the situation from escalating, or did her comments expose a serious divide between the Fever's players, coaching staff, and fan base? Because the physical play was already controversial, but once social media, player comments, and coaching statements entered the picture, this story became much bigger than one foul.
The intent.
Yeah, so she said they gave us the same explanation. And when you mix that in with what the referee said even transpired in the first place, once again.
Yeah, she intentionally seeked out the official.
She intentionally, Caitlin Clark intentionally seeked out an official and used
you were backwards to them. Did you even know they were there in that moment?
And through the forearm.
And through a forearm. So Caitlin intentionally, that's a wild accusation, by the way, not accidentally, intentionally ran in and seeked out an official and threw a forearm, when you can clearly see in real time that Caitlin Clark was literally hip bumped by Natasha Howard while she was mobile. You guys know when you're running, you are in a vulnerable position. Any slight push or anything can really exaggerate your trajectory and where you're headed.
So it clearly was a foul.
Like,
It was not called.
How is that a forearm extension? Can somebody please let me know, how is this a forearm extension?
So it clearly was
How is this a forearm extension? Is this a forearm extension to you guys? If anything, that's a backhand extension. But this referee wouldn't know that. I'm telling you, man, this target on CeCe's back is clear as day. But anyways, Caitlin Clark already knew what was going on. As I said, she was a little too confident right here. President Clark, somebody must have told her something. This was my reaction to it. I'm on the bottom right, if you can't tell.
Another technical foul. I know that can lead to another suspension.
Of course, Kelsey laughing.
Thoughts on what happened?
She said I ran into her. I've already watched it on the tape, so we'll let the league decide. But it wasn't intentional or anything, so I'm hoping it's getting rescinded, Holly.
And nothing was said. Nothing was said.
I'll see.
She said it wasn't intentional.
Meanwhile, the Chicago Sky coaching staff was trying to distance itself from the chaos. Head coach Tyler Marsh said he had not yet seen a replay of the collision, but based on what he witnessed live, he believed Carrington was simply making a play on the ball and did not think the contact deserved a flagrant 2. Then reporters brought up Carrington's controversial social media post. Marsh said he was only hearing about it and indicated that the organization would deal with the matter internally. But just when the situation couldn't get any more complicated, Caitlin Clark was suddenly pulled into the controversy. During the third quarter, with Indiana fighting to protect what would become a 90-86 victory, Clark was assessed a technical foul. And this wasn't just another routine technical. It was reportedly her 8th of the season, potentially triggering an automatic 1-game suspension under league rules. Suddenly, the WNBA faced a massive question. Could one disputed call sideline one of the league's biggest stars? Clark later addressed the incident with remarkable composure. She explained that the official believed Clark had made contact with the referee, but Clark said she had already reviewed the footage and did not believe the contact was intentional. Rather than launch into an emotional attack, Clark simply said the league would review the situation and determine what happened. She made it clear that nothing was said during the interaction and expressed hope that the technical would eventually be rescinded. And even more importantly, Coach Stephanie White acknowledged that she believed the technical foul was a bad call. So now the controversy had expanded from one dangerous collision to a much bigger debate over officiating, discipline, player safety, and accountability. And with Caitlin Clark potentially facing a suspension, the entire WNBA was waiting for one decision.
It was a bad call.
I hope she's done at the end of this season. I can't believe, I don't care if DeJonai Carrington played for you in the past. Sophie Cunningham, Caitlin Clark, they are in your locker room right now, and you are defending DeJonai Carrington. We're going to compare what you had to say, Stephanie White, to the fans, what they had to say about DeJonai Carrington calling this white privilege. Nasty work, man. Welcome to Keep the Vision. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share the channel, hit the bell notification, like the video. That'd be greatly appreciated. We got to get into it, man. Stephanie Dingbat White bonehead. The lady has no idea what she's doing. She's in over her head. She's way over her head when it comes to this job. She needs to go back to being head coaches of teams that nobody really gives a damn about. And it's that simple. Take a listen to Stephanie White defending DeJonai Carrington. This is disgusting. If I'm Sophie Cunningham, I'm pissed. My mouth was bleeding. She tried to take my head off, and you at the podium talking about, oh, you don't think it was on purpose. What?
And also there was, for Steph, there was Sophie's flagrant foul from DeJonai. Just what was your reaction to that? And just your thoughts on what happened?
Yeah, I mean, look, it was a hard foul. I don't think that DeJonai intentionally came out to get her across the neck.
What are you talking about? What are you just have your team's back, bruh? When do you have your team's back, Stephanie?
But at this point, one question was impossible to ignore. Where was the support for the Fever? The controversy had already raised serious questions about leadership, officiating, and player protection. And while the situation continued to explode across social media, Caitlin Clark remained at the center of the storm. Then came the decision everyone was waiting for. The WNBA front office reviewed Clark's technical foul and ultimately rescinded it, meaning she avoided the potential one-game suspension that could have followed. That decision instantly changed the conversation. What had looked like a disastrous situation for Indiana suddenly became another major debate about consistency and accountability across the league. Why was Clark's technical overturned? How should officials handle these situations in the future? And most importantly, are the league standards being applied consistently to every player? Meanwhile, Sophie Cunningham had made her position clear. She took the physical hit, immediately stood her ground, and refused to let the controversy define her. Caitlin Clark, instead of losing her composure, responded with calmness and allowed the league's review process to determine the outcome. And in the end, Indiana walked away with the victory. But the bigger story may be what happens next. Because this game wasn't just about a 90-86 result. It exposed deep tension surrounding physical play, officiating, player protection, social media, and league discipline. Now the pressure is on the WNBA to prove that its rules are going to be enforced consistently, and that the standards apply equally to everyone. The game ended. But the controversy?